Welcome to our experiment here. This is College Coffee Talk. I've kind of rebooted it for the upcoming year, 2018. And I'm Andy Lockwood from Lockwood College Prep. And College Coffee Talk is now going to be every Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it's going to be all about giving free coaching, free advice for your burning questions. So if you have any burning questions, whether you're a client or not, this is mostly for non-clients, then you are more than welcome to drop by at 9 o'clock or as close to 9 as you can make it Eastern Standard Time every Friday. The backstory is that I did a lot of one-on-one free consults, free strategy sessions last year. We would do sometimes as many as 12 to 15, sometimes 20 per week, depending on the month, the seasonality of it. And Pearl was like, you're nuts, because you give a ton of free information on the webinars and the workshops, and then on top of that, you're going to get more free information. So, we just, between just the natural, getting busy in the growth of our business, as well as family stuff, and my lack of patience, I just don't have a ton of time or the inclination to do that anymore. However, I recognize that there's still a lot of questions that aren't being answered out there by your guidance counselor, by your financial guy, by your CPA, you name it. So that's why we are adding this bonus coaching session where you can get your questions answered. Okay, so what I have here, because is forearmed is forewarned. So I have a list of questions that I have been asked over the years on our webinars, because I usually do a poll, and I can resort to doing those. I have enough material. It's just never ending. So it's a bottomless cup of coffee of material. So if we get a situation where we run out of questions here on the live events, on the College Coffee Talks every Friday, then I'll just go to those. And I think the good thing, if I were you, if I were a parent with the college bound teen, and just kind of dipping my toe into the waters of college planning, I think these sessions can be very valuable on two fronts. One, you can get your actual questions answered, but number two, you can see what other parents are asking, and you will definitely see stuff that you haven't thought of. So this time of year, we're getting feedback from a lot of the Ivy League colleges and some other schools. So, if you want to talk about your admissions questions, whether you have a senior who's just starting to hear back or who hasn't heard back yet, or if you're in more of the planning stages, if you have a high school junior class of 2019 or someone younger than that, those would be good questions to ask about, whether they're related to admissions or financial aid or scholarships, you name it. Please feel free to fire away. We've had some mixed results this year, to be perfectly candid. So we've gotten good results from a bunch of our clients. We've had kids that we worked with one-on-one who got into Stanford, which might be literally the hardest college in the country to get into. That was Kevin Martin, who's I was really rooting for him. He's a great kid, little sarcastic. Just somehow, for some reason, sarcastic kids seem to work with us. We seem to be drawn to each other. We had another client get into Yale, Daniel Foster, which was awesome. We've had a bunch of kids get into Cornell, including Walter Check, who was trash talking me because I had made some comment like he wasn't a slam dunk to get in, and really, that was just statistically, if you just look at the pure stats. But in terms of how good a kid he is, whether he deserves to get in, come on, Walter, I love you, and your mom. So anyway, the question might be, well, we haven't heard back yet, or we got waitlisted or deferred. We've had a lot of kids report back, not a lot, but we've had, I think, 3 or 4 actually from Penn and Duke that they were deferred this year. Now, when you're deferred, that doesn't mean that you'll never get in. It just means the chances of getting in are pretty slim. I've seen people get off the deferment list or the wait list. When it happens this time of year, when it happens in December, all that means is that they want to see what the rest of the applicants look like as they come in. Those applications come in by January 1st, and then they'll take another look at you. for the most part, statistically, it's very hard to get off that list because, especially with competitive schools, they admit so many kids off of early decision. But I've seen kids get off the deferment list in the past. I had a client get off of the list at Brown 3 or 4 years ago. What you need to do if you are deferred is you need to communicate to the admissions officer, not in a stalky way, but be aggressive, that yes, you are still my number one choice. I would still love to go there. And by the way, here are some updates. Please add them to my file. You can talk about your, any new updated grades, any awards or accolades, anything that is that will positively, even if it's a little bit of a stretch, not too much, will reflect on your candidacy to kind of round out and just stay in communication with them. That's what they want to hear, because they don't want to waste a spot admitting you if you're not going to show up. So that's the best advice I can give. Sometimes you can have the guidance counselor call and just see, if there's anything that they can tell you in terms of your application or something they're looking for. Maybe it's new updated grades. Maybe they can't say anything, but at least to have the guidance counselor call on your behalf also. Okay. I love when I'm getting a call in the middle. It's very distracting in the middle of my broadcast. So, all right. So let me just take a quick look online and see if any questions came in before I get to my previously stocked questions. And I'm also, in full disclosure, having tea, college coffee talk. I don't know if that's legal, but that's how I roll. So I see we've got a bunch of people on, which is great. I see about 11 people here. I see Jimmy Lee. Hello, Jimmy. All right, so if you have any questions, this is where you pop them in, right here. So so I've talked to you a little bit about being deferred. I am going to go back into the archives here because these are questions that I think a lot of people have. So maybe you have these questions, right? Okay, so here's one. This came in from Glenn Guttari. This was from, when is this from? This is from a few months ago, more than a few months ago. This is from the end of 2016. Okay, divorced family of modest means working to grasp the best opportunity for our daughter. What's the best course for our income and assets? So we have a lot of questions that come in about being divorced. And I want to tell you a little bit about how that works. I can't give a full explanation, but what you should understand is that there are advantages to being divorced, potentially. And the reason for that is because the financial aid forms ask about the custodial parent. Now, custodial parent means only one thing. It has nothing to do with your taxes, whether you deduct the kid as a dependent. It means only if the child resided with you for more than 50% of the time in the last 12 months. So in situations where there's an even split, but in good faith you can say that the kid resides with a parent who has lower income and lower savings, then that is potentially a strategy that could help you out a lot. Now, just to round out that discussion, there are a handful of schools, more than 100 colleges, that want to see the financial information of both parents. Now, there could be some situation. Actually, I'm working on a scenario like that right now with a client where there's a situation where there's a whole lot of information that the college doesn't know. So the facts in this case are the daughter is going into her third year at an elite Midwestern liberal arts college, and at the time she was a freshman, the parents were still together. But when she was a sophomore, they split up. Now, she is, we're doing, I think Pearl just did her forms for next year, which is 2018. So that required information from the parents' 2016 tax returns. In 2016, they were still filing together, and they still had one residence. Since that time, since we're finishing up 2017, a lot has changed. The mom left the East Coast and moved out to the West Coast, and she took a job very low paying. She had a higher paying job before. So the argument that we're going to be making, which I need to do that today, is, so just let me a little insight into stuff I don't really like bragging about. I have to remind myself to do that. So I'm getting out my other little list here. So what we're explaining is that I know that things looked one way on our tax returns in 2016, but since then, there's been all sorts of stuff that's happened. And specifically, what Pearl did when she filled out the forms is she, instead of putting in the income information from the 2016 returns, she backed out the soon-to-be ex-husband's information, which technically you're not supposed to do. You're just supposed to pull the information right from the tax return. But we felt that would be, it was a sort of a judgment call. We felt in the spirit of the rules, that would actually be inaccurate. So our client went ahead and called the financial aid office and asked them their advice on that, and they said, yeah, that was fine to do. But you wouldn't know that just from filing a FAFSA yourself. So that's just an experience thing that I'm passing on to you as a little bit of free coaching, like I promised. So hopefully, when she gets her final financial aid award for next year, she will not only have the financial aid office will not only have the numbers that are more accurate, even though they're technically not from the 2016 return, but they'll also have the written explanation in hand, and they'll be able to give her a really nice financial aid award. So that was the answer to that question, a little bit more than what Glenn was asking. All right, let me see what else we got here. Oh, Pearl's joining. Hello, Pearl. Pearl, if you have any questions that you want me to answer, I'm happy to do that. So, okay, let me go on to question. And anyone else, even if we're not married, I'm happy to, maybe she heard me talking about divorce or something, and she just, no. I'm happy to answer the questions, because this is a free coaching session. It's at 9 o'clock every Friday if you're just joining us. Or if you have any burning questions but you didn't make it live, then absolutely, please feel free. Same thing, pop your questions into comments. And just say hi. Just say hi in comments. Let us know that you're out there, and if you're enjoying this, and please feel free to, absolutely, to share it with as many of your friends who have college-bound kids as possible, because we want to help them also. And I think I mentioned this before. I'm not. If you're on my email list, I mentioned that I am getting away from the free one-on-one sessions with people, because it just got to be too much just with our family stuff and the growth of our business last year. Very grateful for it, but I don't want to abandon people. I still want to be able to offer help, but between these free sessions on Fridays, as well as our webinars and workshops, you're going to get plenty of free advice if you want. And then, of course, if you want more information about potentially working with us, that's a secondary thing. We can talk about that whenever you're ready. In the meantime, let's go back to the freebies. Who just joined us? All right, Peggy. Hey, Peggy. If you have any questions, pop them in. All right, so here's a question from Beth Vogel. This is going back to last year. So, sophomore son, straight A's, hardworking student, rigorous school in Colorado, an IB school. He did well on his tests, but even better than that, he's passionate and self-directed as a learner. He's interested in many topics, from the sciences to history to international relations. But he has so many genuine interests, we haven't tried to force him to pick one. But all we hear from parents of other high-achieving students is that he needs to pick one thing, all caps, and dive really deep in some preferably out-of-the-box way with it. Are we making a mistake letting him enjoy a handful of experiences? That is a great question. All right. So, from the bigger picture, it's never a mistake to encourage a kid to be a learner. And in fact, I think from the narrow perspective of does it help you get into college, same advice. Because at the end of the day, the admissions officers from the most elite, most intellectual colleges, that is something that they really value. So I actually wouldn't worry about anything. Now, that being said, if he's got nothing in his extracurriculars that supports that, that could be problematic. But being a learner as opposed to a high-achieving, grade-grubbing type of kid is much more valuable. And that's sort of like the dream, for admissions officers. They want learners, people who are passionate about learning. So that means always pushing themselves, like Beth, like you described your child. I've had one of the coolest things about doing what we do is that we meet some really interesting kids who are very similar to the way that you just described your son. And we've one kid who just got into to Cornell also, named Alex, who is exactly that. He's a humanities. He's actually very interested in the classics like Latin and ancient Greek, and I think he even taught himself ancient Greek. The funniest thing to me is he's a little bit of a fish out of water. He goes to an elite sort of technical science school in New York City, where he's got great grades, but he's so not a science kid. He does well, but he's so not a sciencey STEM type of kid. That perhaps helped him get into to an Ivy League school. His grades were very good. His scores were very good, but they weren't. But he's not necessarily at the top of his class, or I don't think his stats scream that he was going to be admitted to Cornell. Although he's certainly intellectually capable of doing the work, and I think they saw that in his background. But he's got he doesn't have a ton of amazing, interesting things, but he's got one or two activities that really were consistent with the types of things that he is interested in. And so a little bit different in that he was a little bit more focused on what he was interested in pursuing in terms of classics, but he didn't have, some kids pad their resumes way up and down, and they have all kinds of, crazy activities, and I think everyone watching this knows what I'm talking about. But admissions officers, they can sniff that out. And what Beth's question is about the opposite as well. Should we just focus on just one thing and go really deep? I think you can approach something like that without sacrificing, all the other interests. But just don't go crazy with it. Just being interested in a few different broad topics is special enough, because a lot of kids never develop one interest. So I wouldn't get too crazy about it. I wouldn't lose sight of what makes him special and very interesting. And you want that to come through ultimately on the college applications, through listing the activities, and through the essays, and possibly in interviewing. So sounds like a very interesting kid. All right, that was question number 2. All right, let me go here. So we got, all right, said hi to Peggy. All right, George, how important, all right, thank you. So here's I like your emoticon, your emoji, whatever that is also. You look angry in your emoji. George Krause, how important are essay supplements in your opinion, and how can we push our son to get them done? Our son is procrastinating on essays for the 2 schools on his list that require them, William and Mary and Providence. At the William and Mary on-campus info session we attended, they told us that the supplement was important there, and at any school. He's quite interested in these 2 schools, already finished his EA apps and was admitted to their flagship state school, but doesn't really want to go there. I wish we had a real state. Okay, fine. I'll skip that part. Any input on supplements and advice in getting our son to finish them is appreciated. Okay. I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about corporal punishment. That would be my first gut reaction. So 100% I echo the advice you got at William and Mary, which is technically the first college in the United States. Harvard's the first college in America, but it was founded pre-United States creation. That's what I was told by the folks at William and Mary. Little fun fact there. So, of course, it has nothing to do with your question, but hey, free coaching session. I can do whatever the hell I want. So, motivating a kid is one of these things that I don't think there's any real good answer to. I mean, I'm big on motivational stuff. I read a fair amount of self-helpy, businessy types of books and all that, but I think the issue is always that you can't want anything more than your kid does. And particularly boys, I think a lot of times they may be motivated, they may want something, but sometimes they just can't get out of their own way, or when parents push them too much, it becomes kind of a pullback type of issue. So what I wouldn't do is push it more on them. I think you have to sort of pull them toward the goal if possible. Frankly, when we work with kids, a lot of times I feel like it turns out I'm saying the exact same advice that mom or dad says to the kids. It's just I'm not mom or dad, and that's how our family works too. In full disclosure, so motivation is a tricky thing. But in terms of the value of the supplements, I've actually heard from admissions officers time and again, including the handful that work with us, with our clients on their essays, is that many times those supplemental essays are more important than the actual main essay. And the reason they're more important is because that's a chance for an applicant to demonstrate that he or she has done his or her, so politically correct, due diligence to really prove that that particular school is right for them or is a good fit, jibes or meshes well with the applicant. And so when you write these essays, you really need to go deep. You can't have a high level sort of superficial, I always wanted to go to school in Boston because it's got so much to offer, the culture, the internship opportunities and whatever. Your school is very highly ranked. What college am I talking about when I write an essay question like that? Answer, about 20. So instead of that, what I always coach kids to do is to go deep. So hopefully they have visited the school, and even less likely, but also even more hopefully, they have spoken to strategically to people at those colleges, including not just the tour guide, but if you're thinking about majoring in science, the head of the science department or the bio or the chem department, and ask them questions about that pertain to what it would be like specifically as a bio or chem or whatever major that you're interested in, because number one, that helps you figure out if that school is right for you and uncover things you wouldn't have gotten just from the website or the generic college tour. But also, when you fast forward to hopefully your summer of writing, I'm smiling as I say that because this question came in December 15th. But when you're writing your supplemental essays, that also, those types of interactions give you the raw material to again perform that job of proving that you've done your research and your due diligence on why that school is a good fit for you. You can also pick up information like that in the course catalogs, which are almost always published online by each school. The professors' bios that are also published and prominently. Schools brag about how great their faculty is because that's one of the things that they think distinguishes them from their competitors. So I would go deep into the websites and other materials to draw out those types of distinguishing factors that signal or telegraph to the admissions officers that you've done your homework and you're not just high level superficially interested, you're very deeply interested. So they're very important. I would not phone in the supplemental essays. Wish I could help you a little bit more with the motivation thing. And George, if you come up with something good, let me know because I have 4 kids too. Okay, got some more questions here. Oh, Francis is checking in. I was bragging about your son, Francis, a little bit earlier, and I don't expect any harassing texts from him today. Okay, because I was nice. Tell him to be nice, not all stuck up in Ivy League snooty pants. Okay, who else? The emoji, George, the emoji is in support of net neutrality. Okay, I thought that was because you were angry about your kid. All right, Peggy, college applications on Common App asks if the student wants to apply for financial aid. Should we always be answering yes to this? We already completed the FAFSA and the CSS. We don't expect to qualify for need-based aid, and we're hoping for merit scholarships. All right, interesting. So, the school of thought is that if you're applying for financial aid at most schools, not all, then that is going to put you in a different bucket and possibly hurt your chances of getting in. All right. That being said, if you're not going to qualify, that's a different discussion, but let's say your income is too high or something, then in some ways, I think submitting the forms can be a demonstration of strength, showing that, no, I don't belong in the needs financial aid bucket. I belong in the other one that I'm paying full price. Because every year colleges, all the conferences I go to where business officers at colleges come on and talk, they're they're always on webinars. They're always talking about how they're having problems meeting their budget and this and that. So they like full-paying students, full-paying families. That's just the way it is. It's not. I'm not saying that because it's good or it's bad. It's just reality. That's what College Coffee Talk is all about. Reality. So, so I think showing them on paper that you're not going to qualify, that actually might be a good thing. Now, if you are checking off the box that you need, that you're on the common application. So, I'm talking about switching away from the financial aid applications, and now I'm talking about the common application to get into college. If you check off that box and you say, yeah, I'm interested in getting need-based aid, that will put you into the need-based category. And until they see that you're not going to qualify for anything, I think you're going to be stuck in that category, or it might be slightly harder to get into a school. So let me just make a couple of comments about that. Whether or not you need money might be a factor that goes into the decision to admit you, but there are 20, maybe 25 factors. So I don't know how important that factor is. I would guess it might be in the top 10 at some colleges and not in the top 10 for others. So don't get too crazy about it. But if you wanted to, listen, I think by the time they review your applications, they're going to see that you're not going to qualify, if that in fact is true. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. But if I were advising you before the summer and I made a determination that there's no way you're going to qualify for need-based aid, what I would do is say don't check the box, but still submit the financial aid forms, because you'll show strength. And more importantly, many colleges want the financial aid forms, like you mentioned, for merit scholarships also. So it's really important to submit them. And if you want to take loans too, sometimes I think it's a good idea for kids to have a little bit of debt hanging over their head, $5,000 a year or something, because then they have a little bit of skin in the game, and they know they're not just there to goof around. They're going to have to pay the piper at some point. So those are the reasons for filing, but I wouldn't get too nuts if you checked off the box inadvertently, the yes, I want aid box. So hopefully that was clear. All right, good. All right, so let me see. I see about 14 people who are here. I can't tell who's on. I used to be able to tell that on Facebook. I don't know why. Can't do that anymore. Are they protecting our privacy or something? Let me just see what's going on here. And if you have any questions, any burning college questions, please feel free to pop them right in here in comments, whether this is live or not. All right, I see a little bit of a follow-up here from George with the net neutrality emoji. Just to add to the supplements questions, our son did not apply early decision or early action to those schools. The Providence rep said there wasn't a competitive advantage, and William and Mary, we did not want to be locked out because of the high out-of-state price. Got it. Yeah, what's interesting about the whole the whole early decision thing is that it doesn't always help your chances of getting in. I mean, in many schools, if you look at the percentage of kids who are admitted early decision versus not, it's only 1 or 2 points difference sometimes, insignificant. So that totally makes sense to me. All right. Any more questions? This is your chance. Don't be shy. While we're waiting here. Oh, all right, here we go. Got some more questions coming in. Good. I don't have to go to my canned ones. Marnie's on. Hi, Marnie. All right. How do you increase your chances of getting a merit scholarship? Okay. So there's different types of merit scholarships. The big money comes from the colleges themselves. And the best way that you can improve your chances of getting money from colleges for merit is in choosing your list strategically. So if you are applying to a whole bunch of schools where they're crazy long shots and you have, snowball's chance in hell of getting in, you're not going to get merit scholarships if you manage to get your way in for the most part. This is, of course, a broad, sweeping generalization. However, schools that are going to want you because you'll class up their rankings because of your grades and your scores and other achievements. It could be extracurriculars, it could be, that type of thing. then that is a type of school that's more likely to give you merit money. So as a rule of thumb, if you look at all the kids that were admitted to a college the previous year, and you look at the median SAT or ACT and GPA, and you can figure out from the number of kids that were admitted where you fall in. If you were comparing yourself, again, to last year's cohort, and you're in the top 25%, that is a good indication that you will get merit money. The other form of, it's not really merit scholarship, just scholarships that parents frequently ask us about are these outside scholarships. And the outside scholarships come not from the colleges, but they come from the outside, hence the name. And those are from local organizations or national organizations, a lot of charitable, a lot of, some employers have scholarships or whatever. The best way to improve your chances of getting those is to have a lot of volunteer stuff, or to be lucky enough to be born to someone, a family who's in the union that has scholarships, employers. But volunteering seems to be very closely correlated with how much you get from outside scholarships too. I'll probably do either a webinar. We're starting up a podcast also where I'm going to talk specifically about scholarships. I always refer someone, when people ask me, we don't handle the scholarship search ourselves. I actually refer them out to a woman named Ashley Hill, who does a great job in terms of not only finding scholarships that help, that pertain to kids, but also coaching them through the whole process. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead through some more questions here. Getting a lot of phone calls today. I don't know what the hell that's all about. All right, Jeanette, any suggestions on how to get kids motivated to take the lead in the process? My son struggles to manage long-term planning. So, I have 2 sons. I feel your pain. What we've done, and this is me and Pearl. What we've done is because I think we're just, I wouldn't say lazy about it, but we're just like, what's the point? But B, also philosophically, we think it's much, sometimes it's worse to be that helicopter parent. What we have done is certainly told them what to do, but they're largely kind of on their own in terms of whether they get it done or not. And sometimes that's bad, but the philosophy is you can't want it more than your kids, and sooner or later they're going to be on their own, hopefully, and either they're going to be able to fend for themselves, or they're still going to be conditioned to have other people do something for them, do stuff for them. And I'll tell you that one of the biggest complaints that I hear from employers and from HR people, and I hear about this one-on-one occasionally, but I read a lot about stuff like this, and I hear this at conferences, is that kids graduating college, you give them something to do that's a little outside the box, and a lot of them don't know where to start. They don't know how to do it. So we all want the best for our kids. Sometimes it's the best thing is to kind of back off and let them, tell them what to do. Say, look, you got to get this done now. If you don't, then here are the consequences. Pearl and I are good at saying that the first part of that to our kids. We're not so great on the consequences, but you know what? We have one kid in college. It worked out. He's happy there. We think he's doing well. We'll see grades, I guess, in a little bit. So maybe ask me in a couple of weeks about the grades. We've got a junior who's a boy, and who seems to have turned things around. He was definitely one of these kids who struggled with motivation a freshman and sophomore year, but this year he's taking a lot of challenging classes, and his grades are a lot better than they were last year. And then we have 2 girls, which is the rest of my comments are related to that. Girls just seem to get it better than boys, so that's not really advice. It's just misery loves company. If you want a little bit of a reassurance, he's not some sort of freak. There's no problem. He just has a Y chromosome. So I'm not advocating hormone therapy. But I think it's one of these things where, you can lead a horse to water type of thing. And this is not a commercial for me. This is a free coaching session, but frequently I feel like the reason that people work with us, and I assume work with other college coach type people, is because of this, because the kids aren't responding to moms. It's almost always the moms, sort of stressed out entreaties to please get their what done. So sometimes that helps, bringing in a reliever from the bullpen, like they do in baseball. But even then, I mean, I'll sit when I sit down with families, I'll say, look, I know I can give you good advice because the people that work with us one-on-one get into schools like Stanford and Yale, and every year we have that in Harvard and Princeton and Cornell and whatever, as well as plenty of quote-unquote regular schools. But the one, even though everyone goes their own way, the one sort of commonality, unifying type of factor is they're coachable. They take the advice. So motivation, I don't know how you motivate someone else. They can be inspired. We try to do that a little bit, but it's got to come more from within. So I don't know if that's a great answer, but those are my feelings on that. Kathleen, you may not see grades unless your kids shows you. Yeah, you're talking about college, right? Yeah, because they're adults now, so there's all sorts of privacy junk. You can't see grades, you can't see health records necessarily. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can actually be an issue. If your kid gets sick in college and you need to get involved. I think I don't even know if we did this actually. Pearl, you're probably still not watching this. But I think I have to make myself another note. I think there's like a limited healthcare proxy or power of attorney or something. I had a guy I knew who's a lawyer who specializes that, and I think his advice was that we should that every parent who's sending their kid to college should actually do something like that so they can see at least the health records. I know that the grades is a totally different issue. All right, so we are moving along here. Again, if you're just joining us, you are more than welcome to. This is a free coaching session, so please feel free to pop in your questions, your burning questions, whatever problem, your biggest problem that you're having. I will do my best to give. Well, I'll always give my advice. I'll do my best to help. Even if it's not necessarily something that you're going to think is helpful, I'm just going to give my best advice. I don't know how helpful it is to say, like, well, the reason your kid's not motivated is because he's a guy. But I do think in terms of, it's always a balance between, pushing and pulling, that type of thing. But I wish I had a magic wand to be able to fix that one. I don't. But I think also, actually, I do have one more comment, just to come to think of it. I think the thing that clicked the most with my son who's in college right now, Jack, whom we also refer to as the worst walking advertisement for our business, which he loves. He has other redeeming qualities. Okay, but I think what actually clicked for him, maybe it's two things. I think one was he started going out with a girl who took her studies seriously. She got her work done. So that was just a good sort of peer influence. The other thing though is we did part of our process when we coach kids is we did a session with him with our career counselor, and it was a combination of taking an online assessment and drawing out his wiring and matching up where his wiring would translate into in terms of a place in the world for him. So what ended up happening in Jack's case is that literally 2 days before he had the session with Julie, our career counselor, who's also a former admissions officer, he independently came up with the same career choice that Julie, there were three top choices, and I think this is either number one or number two, that Julie had independently come up with herself, which I was looking on behind the scenes. And when I saw that, I was like, it was more of a relief as opposed to, yes, our process works. Because I know our process works. We put about 250 kids through what I'm describing to you, but it's still nice to see it when it's your own kid. It's sort of holding your breath. But anyway, that all of a sudden gave him clarity in terms of what he was looking for. And our process, it's not designed to draw out one thing. It's designed to draw out maybe 10 or 12 different possibilities, and the idea is to maybe winnow that down to 3 or 4 possibilities in terms of careers and majors that lead to those careers, which could lead to a career where you can actually make a living and also be very satisfied. So when that happened for us, that was a big deal as a parent. But I think for Jack also, our son, that was pretty interesting, and we felt like something clicked. And he had his best year ever as a senior, which was a little too late. But he ended up getting into not every school, but almost every school that he applied to, including the one that he's attending, which he was not a slam dunk to get into. And he seems very happy. But yeah, Pearl and I are still on a need-to-know basis with the grades. So that point still holds true. Okay. All right, good. Some more questions coming in here. Jeanette, thanks. Gotta love boys. Appreciate your honesty. I just don't want him to end up with huge debt. Yeah, exactly. I don't either. Hopefully he'll get excited about doing some things over the holidays. He's a junior. Yeah, right, exactly. I feel the exact same way. And, if that means... listen, sometimes saying, there's always community college for a couple of years. I hung that over my son's head all the time. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, why? So I won't get into the reasons he said why, but at least I had that. I don't know if I would have followed through on that threat, but I think Pearl and I are on the same page that way. So that really could have been an outcome. You know what? If he does really bad with his grades, that could still be one of his outcomes too. By the way, every kid's different. His brother is a little more motivated, and the two younger sisters are way more motivated. So it's just interesting how it all plays out. Sometimes Pearl and I wonder if we brought them up in the same household. Allison's on. Hey, Allison. I haven't talked to you in a long time. Hope all is well with you. All right, a couple more questions here. We got a few more minutes. Kathleen Roby, my kid's doing well. 32 ACT, 1460 scores on the SAT, first time taking them. 375 GPA, not looking Ivy, unlikely to get need-based aid. Any ideas for possible merit aid? Yeah, I think you're doing it the right way. You're not going to get, Ivies don't give, allegedly, they don't give merit money, although I've seen occasional chinks in that armor. But you want to look, what I mentioned before, I don't know if you were on, is when you target schools that are a lesser tier, and you see how you stack up grades and score-wise, and he's probably still got some upside with his standardized tests, which are already very high. But you look at, if you're in the top 25% of colleges, of their median GPAs and SAT, ACTs, then that's a school you're most likely to get merit from. Yeah, there's some schools that are not known to be particularly generous with money, and you want to stay away from those. NYU comes to mind. I pick on them a lot. BU is kind of a mixed bag, Boston University. But depending on the types of schools he's looking at, I think you'll do really well at a lot of the liberal arts private colleges, if that's what you're looking for. Not the need-based ones, but the ones that are that do give merit also. And there might be some, if you're looking at state schools, he will certainly qualify for merit scholarships at a lot of state schools. And again, same thing, you don't want to necessarily apply to every big name state school. Like Michigan is a great school, it's $50-something thousand, it's close to $60,000 I think a year. They don't give any money to out-of-state kids. I don't know where you live. But that's a school I would stay away from. But a lot of the other state schools do give merit scholarships. You might get $10,000 to $15,000 from a college that costs $45,000-$50,000. So you're already ahead of the game if it's only $45,000. But if you can get that down to the 30s, that's not so different than an in-state tuition wherever you live in most states. So you're already on the right. You're thinking the right way as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Peggy, what is the advantage of an honors program? My son was encouraged to apply to one after he submitted an early application at a private college. The honors app is due February 1st. So honors programs are great because sometimes they have money with them. Most of the time, whether it's a public school, usually there are public schools, but some private schools have them too. You're usually kind of segregated off. It's almost a school within a school type of situation. So you're with other highly motivated kids, so you're with a different peer set, for most of your classes, which I think is a very good thing in terms of the intangible sort of inspirational aspect of it. And at the state schools, it can be a big deal because you get first crack at registration for classes. One of the biggest knocks about state colleges, either in the state wherever you live or out of the state that you live, is that they don't have they don't have enough slots for all the classes that they offer, or particularly for classes in whatever major that you are pursuing. So being in an honors college is a response to that criticism. It's also a way for state schools to attract high achieving kids, grades and scores and all that. So, and they're after the same thing. They're after the same goals as private colleges. They need higher rankings, so that they can continue to attract more applicants and be more selective and get more revenue in. They'll do things to bribe kids from out of state who are going to be paying higher rates than in-state residents. But if the differential is, $7,000 in tuition versus $25,000, $30,000 in tuition, if they give, $10,000, I'm not talking about all costs. I'm just talking about tuition. If they give $10,000, they're still way ahead of the curve, way ahead of the game compared to their in-state residents. So that's why a lot of honors programs have been cropping up recently from the big state schools too. So I think it's not just a prestige thing; it's also potentially a money thing, who you associate with type of thing, and it's first dibs on classes, which is usually more of an issue at state schools. Occasionally it is at private schools too. I've heard those types of reports also. All right, what else is coming in? This is good. All right, Kathleen says thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Let me see if I skipped any questions. I think we are in good shape. So I'm going to handle one while you guys are thinking about whether you have anything else to ask me as we wind down the hour here. I believe I have time for one more classic question. Classic because this came from 2016. And this comes from Rochelle. And her question was regarding the offer letter. This is actually timely because we're going to get offer letters, started to get some offer letters, but mostly scholarships, not need-based aid. Those are going to come out sometime, usually March. Regarding the offer letters, what about years 2, 3, and 4? The offer letter only seems to address the first year, unless I'm mistaken, and I'm concerned that once the school has you over a barrel, the child agrees to attend, the awards will be much less for future years. They may think your student won't leave because they like the school, so you will pay more. Please enlighten me and alleviate my fears. Thanks. Okay, well, I can enlighten you, but I don't know if I can alleviate your fears because that is something that you should be afraid of. Colleges do have some do have more of a proclivity and more of a reputation for baiting and switching or front-loading their award offers too. So what you need to do is your research, and one of the things that is evidence of a school not doing that, because that offer, that financial aid offer, is almost always only a one-year offer, and you have to reapply every year. In contrast, a merit scholarship offer from the college is generally renewable, provided that you hit whatever minimum GPA is associated with that award. So I'm talking specifically now only about need-based awards. So if you were to look up the average award that a college gives to freshmen versus the average award that they give to all undergrads, you want a narrow spread between those two, not a chasm, not a Grand Canyon gap between those two numbers. And that's the best I can say to you. Now, the place to look that up, where I would look that up, is on something called the Common Data Set. So if you were interested in, I mentioned Michigan before. You would Google Michigan Common Data Set. You'd see 12 to 15 pages of spreadsheet type information. You want to hone in on the financial aid aspect of it and search down through it, and you'll see those factors, that data in terms of the average award for freshmen versus average award for all undergrads. So I would be a little nervous about a school that has two widely divergent amounts there. Speaking of Common Data Set, boy are my arms tired. No. Speaking of Common Data Set, there's a lot of other information in there tucked away that you have to sift through it, and don't underestimate the amount of time that you need to spend on it. But you can also look at graduation rates. That's another big deal when it comes to college costs. They don't publish, this is kind of sad to me, they don't publish the percentage of kids that graduate in 4 years, it's based on 6-year numbers. That's because it takes so long to graduate college. So the federal government, the Department of Ed, looks at measures college percentage of graduates in 6 years. Anyway, the higher the percentage, the faster a job the better a college does at getting kids out in 4 years. And the reason that a lot of kids take a long time to get out of college is due to something that I mentioned before, which is the inability to get the classes in their major. So that's also very important. Those are two important things on the common data set: average award for all undergrad versus just freshmen, and the percentage of kids that get out in 6 years. So those are two little fun facts for you. I hope you find that helpful. Common data set. Okay, there's no site for the common data set as far as I know. You just have to search every school. Okay. All right, Courtney. Hi. Okay, son was accepted to TCU. I believe that's the Horned Frogs, if I'm not mistaken, Texas Christian. But, actually, I'm not sure. Tell me what they are. Waiting on financial aid package, should qualify for need-based. You have twins, and you're back in school, but you're out of state. However, just hoping not to burden him with a zillion loans. Any advice? At this point, what you need to do is hopefully you'll get offers from other colleges that are better than TCU's offer, and you want to try to play the colleges off against each other. That's one thing. If you have other facts that are appealable, and you actually did mention something. You up to Horned Frogs? Okay, good. Yeah, I know stuff like that. Usually because of the March Madness NCAAs. Here's something that you mentioned that is actually not part of the financial aid formulas, but it is information that has a bearing on your ability to pay. The fact that you're back in school. So when you fill out a FAFSA, it asks about number of children attending college, but it doesn't. But you're not supposed to include yourself in there. The CSS profile, I think, does have some spot in there to discuss that. Either way, that will not be part of their determination of your financial aid award. So when you get the award, you're going to make every and all argument that you possibly can in order to appeal that. And the circumstances that are appealable happen to be really anything that has a bearing on your ability to pay, so that they don't know about already. So they know you have 2 kids in college. That's not any new information because that's on the financial aid form. It's on the FAFSA. But they don't know that you're back in school and paying tuition, I assume. So that is absolutely an appealable thing. And then if you did get other offers from other schools, I would say, listen, we're being forced to consider these other offers too because of financial reasons only. If there's any way that you could take a look at these and possibly meet or even exceed these other offers, TCU, Horned Frogs, baby, you're my number one choice to come. We'll rush in our housing deposit, something like that. I'm actually going to be teaching a class on, it's going to be more than that, but it's a course on how to appeal a financial aid award. I have that teed up for the beginning of January, mostly because most people haven't gotten all their financial aid awards yet. So if you're on my email list, if you, I don't know, you may not be on our email list because we have a slightly different audience on Facebook than we do in our email list. Then you will get invited to that. I guess I'll try to mention that. I will mention that on Facebook also. But if you want to go to our website, lockwoodcollegeprep.com, and just you can get a copy of my book, How to Pay Wholesale for College, for free. That also has a line by line, blow by blow description on how to appeal. When I do the course on how to appeal a financial aid award, it's going to be a combination of a presentation like this, but also some materials that you can use, some sample letters of appeal that worked before in the past, kind of some help figuring out what they gave you, and some a little bit of bonus, looking over your shoulder type of review of what you've written. So that's coming out at the beginning of January. All right, good. I think we're almost done here. This is nice. I wasn't sure if anyone wasn't going to come on, and we got a lot of questions, so I appreciate that. Courtney, will it make a difference if you signed early decision there? Well, it does make a difference because you won't have any other offers, but because you have these other circumstances that they don't know about, then yeah, 100%. That has really nothing to do with whether he's ED or not. So it's always worth trying. I just, I don't love early decision for financial aid because, they have you. They know you're not going anywhere. However, what most people don't realize is that you have an out with early decision. You have, in the early decision agreement, at least the one that most colleges use, because it's part of the Common App. It's there's this whole long paragraph about if you apply and we let you in, you have to come, and then there's sort of like a throwaway phrase in literally the last line of that paragraph that says, unless you don't think the financial aid award is adequate, or words to that effect. So that is a threat. You should be prepared to reference. Don't tell your son that if he's dying to go there. Nothing bad is going to happen. If you mention, I'm not sure I can afford to send him here. I think that's just good negotiating. So try it, yeah. But good luck with that. Good luck with the old horned frogs. All right, good. All right, you are welcome, Courtney. All right, so we are at the top of the hour. So I guess in closing, thanks for joining us for the first coaching session, and it's every Friday. It's going to be every Friday unless there's holidays or something. College Coffee Talk. Your burning questions answered. Happy to do it, to continue the experiment as long as people tune in. So to that end, if you think you have any friends or family or whatever who have college-bound kids who are looking for information that they're not going to get from the typical sources, the books, the guidance counselors, whatever, or if you are a guidance counselor and you have time Friday mornings, you're more than welcome to pop in, because I really thought this went well. So hopefully you guys did also. So I'm going to sign off now, and if you're watching this on replay, I will check back periodically to address the questions and comments that come in. So thanks a lot for joining us for College Coffee Talk. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back here. Well, we have College Talk Tuesday. That's me and Pearl, which is more of a sort of here's what's happening now type of thing. Tuesdays at 12 Eastern, same channel, same Facebook page. And this College Coffee Talk, which is every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is more Q&A style. All right. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.